Hello, welcome to another episode of Infinite Prattle. Thank you very much for joining me again. And today I'm going to be looking at the world of automation and things becoming automated. And is that a good thing or a bad thing? Join me.
Hello and welcome to
Infinite Prattle!
unscripted, unedited prattle on everything, hosted by me, Stephen. Listen, like, share and subscribe, and enjoy the show.
Thank you very much for joining me today. Hopefully you are well, and you've had a good week, and you enjoyed the last episode, which I can't even remember what it was about. These things are a blur to me. I think it's not a lot of lack of effort. I do think about what I want to talk about to a degree, but I don't really do a lot of research, as you probably find out. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I have my computer on when I'm talking, just in case I want to Google something. And you can probably tell when I'm doing that because my speech will slow down. I can't do two things at once. And I've actually set up my arm today as well. My mic arm is back set up. Although I am kind of scared at some point it will fall off the desk because I kind of made like a weird wooden block attachment. A little bit of a Steve-O DIY bodge job when I first got this Elgato arm. Not a sponsor. Although, Elgato, join me in my 3 listeners. It could be lucrative. And the block is failing. I wrapped it in green because of the green in the logo of Steven Speak when I started off. And the green in the logo now, there is still green in there. You may have noticed. And I wrapped it in duct tape to cause it was just like plain wood and I didn't have any paint really to paint it. And I couldn't be bothered painting it. So I wrapped it in duct tape. And but it's kind of loosening away from the side of the desk that I drilled it into. So if you hear a big crash, bang, wallop, firstly, it's not going to be too far from a normal episode, and secondly, that's probably what the noise will be, and you'll probably hear me swear quite a lot. If you're new to the podcast, welcome, by the way. But yeah, I don't really prepare too much for episodes. I try to a little bit more, but I'm always thinking about what I can do next. So once I've done an episode, it kind of goes out my brain a little bit about what I've done. I generally can't even think about what that episode was. I know I did a Temu one. Was that the last one, or was that the one before that sounded like I was in a shed? I can't remember. I feel like I need to check now. I feel like that I need to kind of remember what the hell I've actually been up to. Oh yeah, it was Temu. Yeah, it was because the one that sounded like in a shed was the film revelation one where, reveals in films that I wasn't expecting. Oh, there you go. My brain isn't completely knackered. Anyway, today's episode is about automation of things. Kind of society and the world making things easier, scientists making things easier, inventors making things easier. But also, does it make things nicer? I suppose is probably the thing here. Does having a lot of conveniences, like for example, one of the big ones is self-service checkouts. I find in shops nowadays, and I'm sure this happens all over the world, but a lot more in shops. Even local convenience stores now, in the UK have self-checkouts, and they've been a while for ages. They've been around for a long time, but you'll get a bank of maybe 20 self-services which have replaced 5 manual, traditional kind of, I don't know what you would call them, servers desks, cashiers desks. That'll probably be the one on it. And yes, I use them. So before I start ranting about how crap they are, I will admit that I do use them. But for my own convenience, I use them as a convenience. For me, they are there if you've got only a few items. Say you pop in for a meal deal or something at Tesco's, and there's a queue for the people queuing up for petrol or something, and you can just nip in and out. For doing anything more than that, I don't think they're convenient. They have got a lot better. I remember when they first came out, and you'd put something on the scales, you'd scan it, and it'd put it on the side, and it would be put something. Either it would be you've not put the right thing in the basket, or it would not register. And I think that we're kind of getting past that now. Obviously, things have improved a little bit, but that it's still not great. It's still not amazing. Like these things do still like not work. For example, I went to there's a shop in Britain called Matalan. It's a clothing shop, kind of cheapish. It's like high street brand. Does some good deals. And they've got self service. And I was in there with my wife and her mum, and I decided to wait for the human person to serve me with my shirt that I wanted to buy, and my wife and her mum went to a self checkout, and I won. Even though there was a bigger queue, there was a queue for the actual cashier. There was no queue for the self service. I got there first because of all the process that you have to go through. You still have to wait for a person to come and remove the security tags and to make sure that's been done properly. Then the system didn't work properly, and then they couldn't scan the Matalan card and had to put it in manually or search their email or something like that. So even though I had to stand in queue for a few moments, I actually finished probably about a minute before they did. So for me, that was a win. That was a justifying people. Um, and I think probably one of the biggest things in all this, like removing, um, kind of adding convenience, potentially reducing cost for the people that own the shop. Remember, in general, like you're kind of taking people's jobs away, and you're replacing it with a machine that doesn't need brakes or anything like that. Is the workforce? You're taking people's jobs. Take my job, as South Park hilariously did in one episode. Um, and I think this has been industrial wide for a long time. I mean, this is not a new thing. Obviously, you have ticket machines at train stations now, so you don't have to queue for a ticket. Um, it happens so much like factories, etc. I mean, most of the stuff that probably I have in my room was hardly touched by a human, um, and that's sad in some sense, But it reduces cost, and it reduces cost, but it massively increases profit margins. But I think the biggest thing is human impact. So it's the job losses. It's the five people you just replaced um, on the self checkout. You maybe kept one of them to monitor the self checkout, but fundamentally you've replaced a load of staff with machines, and they either will have to go on to a different job, maybe have a different job in the store, maybe lower paid, or be out of job completely. And I don't know how we're going to address this in the future. I think that's what's scary, is especially with the advent of AI recently. And I must admit, I use AI on my podcast. Not for me, I am real. As you can probably tell by the chaos. But just when I upload stuff, I pay for a facility that it basically scans my podcast and it produces synopsis and a transcript, etc., which isn't always spot on. I quickly, briefly read it. If you do ever see any massive faults in it, then let me know. But it's just it helps me kind of streamline my process. So it takes a while for it to like go through everything and actually produce it. So probably like sometimes up to half an hour, depending on, I guess it's depending on how busy the servers are. But then once it's through, it kind of gives me an idea for a potential name for the podcast, because I have to name every episode, and that's kind of hard. Like I don't want to just put. I kind of want to put something catchy. The whole idea of trying to increase viewers to a point is to have like some sort of catchy tagline, but I also want it to be something that I want. So there's a compromise there. So to generate ideas, the AI thing, it generates like 6 or 7 names for the episode. That's really helpful, but I'm not employing anyone to do that. For me, that's kind of created a job, because someone's got to maintain that system and service, I suppose. Whereas I wouldn't, in a small scale operation like me, which is just me, I'm not employing anyone, so I'm not taking anyone's job away as far as I can see from my viewpoint. Whereas in a supermarket or any establishment where they start taking tills away and replacing them with self service, and it's happening a lot. In the UK, some places have started putting people back again, which is good. I think it was the supermarket chain Waitrose actually decided to reinstall cashier desks and employ more people, because it's basically what nice segue into what I'm going to do next is human interaction. You know, as much as we go, oh bloody hell, I don't want to talk to anyone, and I can be like that as well. I can be a very very social person, and I'll talk to anyone, strangers, etc. But I can be very very like focused in my I do not want to talk to anyone as well. So I think that the human interaction when you go to a service outlet. It doesn't matter where it is. Like, I mean, God, you can check into an airport now and fly a plane and hardly have to speak to anyone, which is insane, really, if you think about it. Like, because you don't really speak to the security staff; they literally just point about where you need to go. So you can really do lots of things. Like you can buy a car online, like online shopping, like Amazon. You don't have to have any interaction. You don't have to go out to the shops, which is another thing probably driving the cost savings in these places because obviously with the advent of obviously online shopping, it's killing the high street. And I must admit, I'm a massive advocate for high street shops, but unfortunately, I shop online a lot um, because it's so convenient. It is so convenient. Um, and I do miss going into town, but our town is unfortunately where I live in Crewe in Cheshire. The town is dead. Partly due to jackasses like me shopping pretty much exclusively online, but it's all that balance, isn't it? Because I know that the fees that they charge shops are so astronomically high that they have to keep their prices higher, and obviously wages go up, and then it's all a big shift. Then that they have to then try and cut corners or have smaller shops, which then don't you can't you can't then have the stock. You can't still sell it at the same price, and you're expecting people to come to you. Like the kind of ideal thing of online shopping is the inconvenience of sitting at home waiting for your delivery to arrive, which has kind of been cut out with pickup points and Amazon lockers because we're quite lucky. We have an Amazon locker literally about 50 feet away from our house, um, which is dangerous as well. Um, but yeah, you'll probably never get a high street shop that's as cheap as online. What I wanna do is when I go to the high street shop is see the thing, and that's the thing you can't do in your online shop. You can see the thing, and I will pay a slight premium for that experience if it's something that I really need to see or it's something that's a bit more bespoke. Like I don't mind paying a few extra quid to actually have seen it and got that customer service and actually pay for that. Um, but for most things in life, especially because like online shopping's got so easy now. You can see everything. You can do little videos. You can read reviews, see people's pictures. You can Google it from all these different research, like viewpoints. That it's non-essential really to go somewhere. I don't know if I'd buy a car online. Let's face it. I'd like to sit in a car and drive it, but it's not essential now to go and visit these places, which is driving all this faceless um, automation. I know it's been the same in factories for years, like robots building cars, etc. But there's still people supervising that. Probably not as many people as would have been building the cars originally. Even where I live in Crewe, Bentleys are made. It's one of the biggest Bentley factories. I think most Bentleys are actually made there or finished there. It might be exclusive. I can't remember now because I know they moved some operations to Germany and when Rolls Royce kind of become Bentley. But they do a lot of stuff by hand still. They still hand stitch the seats, etc. So, there's still stuff in craftsmanship like that, but I can't afford a Bentley. You're paying for that craftsmanship, and I think that that's kind of the juncture where we're at the moment. I think the people that are realistic and want to save money, that kind of outweighs the need to go into a shop, and that's sad. Even when I was a kid, like I remember Crew being a thriving place, and you didn't have the option to online shop because the internet wasn't a thing. Yes, kids, that's true. Um, and you had no option if you wanted a CD or a tape, as it was when I was a kid, or a record or anything, literally anything. There was very few deliveries. Pretty much the only thing I remember being delivered on as a kid was home shopping stuff. So like your Avon, which came via the Avon rep, and couriered stuff from catalog purchases. If you bought something off a catalog, they used to come via courier. I can't remember many things when I was growing up that we got delivered. Stuff came through the Royal Mail, which was generally normal post, just letters, etc. But we never really had anything delivered. And it's crazy how that shift in like technology and culture has driven like humanless jobs. And it does make me wonder. It really does make me wonder what it's going to be like in like 20 years' time. Will we have a high street? Will high streets be dead? Will it all be like I was going to say people places, but I meant like apartments and homes, and offices, um, and will we have lost that local handmade business kind of structure? And yeah, and companies will just get bigger and bigger as they move to online. The weird thing is, I have a convenience store next door, which is um, it's currently an Asda, which are owned by Walmart, and it's a petrol station as well, so gas station for you American people. And I never go and get fuel there really, unless I'm really, really, really desperate or I'm in a rush. There's another petrol station I always go to because I can collect points and it's normally cheaper. So I use that shop as a convenience store more than a petrol station, which fundamentally, when it opened, it was a petrol station. It wasn't a convenience store. And these are the places that to be fair, it kind of annoys me when you have a petrol station with a shop because for me, petrol stations are petrol stations, and I think they should have. That's one of the only times I don't actually mind using self service exclusively is at a petrol station because they've kind of shot themselves in the foot with the fact that I if I want a shop, I'll go to a shop. I'll go to a supermarket or I'll go to a convenience store. If I want petrol, I'll go to a petrol station. And I when they mix the two, that kind of annoyed me because you could be in a queue waiting to pay for petrol, and there's literally someone in front of you, and they've done a whole week's shop in the frigging convenience store, and you're like, really? Like, firstly, this has cost you a lot more money because there's a premium on these products for because of convenience. You don't have to drive to the big supermarket, and secondly, it's meant to be a petrol station. I've bought petrol. I want to come in here and just pay for my petrol. That used to annoy me. The one I go to is a chain called Sainsbury's, and I drive a few miles to go to that one because you save a bit of money and you get your next card points, which is a incentive scheme in the UK. Not sure they have it anywhere else, to be honest. And I'll drive there and fill my car up. But the shop next door to me, which is a petrol station, I use as a shop. I'll go and see what bargains they've got. They always have like reduced items and stuff, and I'll just go and get milk and just last minute bits if we're cooking and we've run out of something or we need some extras. That's what I use it for. And it is a shop to me. That's and it shows that like kind of like weird juxtaposition, the fact that um, petrol stations have become convenience stores, but it's no longer convenient to get petrol there because of everyone buying all these offers they've got. And well, the one next to me is pretty much a mini supermarket. It's quite small, but it has loads of stuff. So I don't mind at petrol stations when they have self service on the actual petrol pumps. It's part the only time that I pretty much exclusively use that. But if I go in somewhere, like say the shop next to me does have one self service thing, and I've never used it just because there's a person there and there's never really a queue. And the annoying thing is you can't use that self checkout for the petrol. You have to go to the person. So um, there's a weird like missed opportunity there. And I think that I was listening to Michael Palin's diaries. He's released a new diary. And if you like Michael Palin or the Pythons or anything like that, it's a great listen. He literally has documented his life. I did an episode about me writing a diary, and it didn't last very long. Did not last very long at all. Um, but the quote that came from it from the 1999 to 2009 diaries, and it kind of really struck a chord with me. No, mate, it's kind of related to this, but um, he said he felt like he was living in a world with less rules and formalities, and I think that kind of like goes into this scope of kind of what I've been talking about with like human interaction, um, and also kind of the thing I was talking about like people's moral compasses and people's behaviors that I spoke about in another episode. I really think that the less we interact with people, the worse we're getting, and I think that all these self checkouts, etc. I know I've kind of honed in on that one. Um, you're removing these low paid skill jobs that students and stuff have always had in the past. You always think of students getting like cashier jobs, coffee shop jobs, McDonald's fast food restaurant jobs. It's removing them away, and it's reducing people's interaction. I know people will be for that. If you've got anxiety and you don't like to speak to people, they're a good thing. But in general, the more you avoid something, the worse that thing becomes. And I think that COVID and we're going to relate to COVID so many times, aren't we, through our lives? We were, the affected generations of that. I think in 2020 when COVID hit, everyone was like yearning for kindness and exploration and human contact. It also made us too comfortable to not see people. Very much so, and that kind of hurts as well. Where kind of people were like, "I'm going to do this for myself. I'm going to do this for myself. I'm going to spend money on myself." And if I meet a friend along the way, then that's kind of good. I mean, I don't see my friends half as much, and that's partly my fault. I'm not going to blame my pals for that. But I don't have kids. A lot of them do, so there's a lot of responsibility on them to make the time for me. Um, and it's probably easier for me to make time for them. But organising stuff is so hard now. Just being an adult is just harder, isn't it? Like gone are the days when you're a kid and you can just fly around someone's house on a bike. Gone off on a right tangent here. But you know what I mean. I think that COVID did kind of push us all in a direction where we know we crave human interaction, but we also have kind of come out with that of it's okay to be alone, and then people's mental illnesses are kind of more heightened now. So if you've got anxiety or ADHD or autism stuff, it's okay to kind of go and segregate yourself. I can't help but think that maybe is a bad thing. Um, yeah, I just don't know where we're gonna be. Are we gonna be like the Matrix, where humans will start handing over jobs to robots and we'll just oversee them? But how do we generate money from that? Surely the employment level would go through the roof and we can't sustain that. Like I don't know. It's a weird one, isn't it? And I know climate change is like a massive thing, and maybe that'll kill us before this becomes an issue. But I think that the increased automation on things and the increasing pressure for companies to save money and automate things, which isn't always a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not completely against stuff, but it's well, someone at my someone's on my front door. I think that might be my call to leave this podcast where it is. As you can hear, my dog probably going mental in the background. But yeah, I just don't know where we're going as a society and as a nation and as a world. Where are we going with this? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there because I'm really nosy and I want to know who's at the door as well. So, right, take care of yourselves, and yeah, let me know what you think in the comments and chat, and send me a message. You can do that if you look in the description of the episode. You can send me a text message, and yeah, I will speak to you all soon. Take care of yourselves.
You've been listening to
Infinite Prattle!
Thanks for listening. If you like this episode, go back and listen to some others. And please continue to listening. Your support is muchly appreciated. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll speak to you all again soon. Take care.